right, let's.
By the way, my daughter just got promoted to major.
Wow!
Yeah,
All right.
That up there.
Congratulations.
Al
Major.
Papa.
Yeah. So you can see the intelligence all in that face.
Let's go ahead and open up a word of prayer.
All right.
Abba Yah, Toda Rabbah, for the fellowship, for the gathering this morning. We ask that you would bless our teacher as he brings forth the word, that the things we learn today will instill in our hearts, that they'll be edifying to this body, and we'll be able to use them to share the good news of your sons with those who are lost and who have not yet seen the light or the truth. We just thank you and we praise you in Yeshua's name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we finished up. We almost finished Judges 4 last time, which was dealing with the 1-2 punch. Actually, it was a 1-2-3 punch, with the third punch being a knockout.
Oh yes. Temple shot.
Deborah starts it, where she gets a prophecy from Yah, telling her to tell Barak, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but it's B-A-R-A-K, to lead a rescue from the Canaanites. Then Barak says, well, I'll do that if you come with me. And then she says, okay, I'm coming with you, but because you don't do it on your own, the glory is going to go to a woman and not you. And that's the knockout punch. And what was that woman's name?
Jahil?
Yeah, which is the J-A-E-L, and how does it come out in Hebrew? Which doesn't have a J.
Yael.
Yael.
Y-A-E-L.
Okay. Now, so that's the end. But that's what's in the commonly called Old Testament. Now, what does the New Testament say about these individuals?
Question.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's kind of funny. I was just looking at the bottom of my notes, and Barak is actually mentioned in Hebrews 11.
Right, as the Hall of
Faith.
Faith.
Yeah, that's what they call it, the Hall of Faith. You know, but
I call it the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So why is Barak there? I mean, this guy says, "Okay, I'm not gonna be able to go out and fight. I want a good luck charm with me."
That is interesting. It's interesting.
So Deborah's got to come with him. Sort of like a good luck charm.
Yeah.
You know the way they tried to use the ark when they went up against the Philistines? And what happened with that fiasco? That was a fiasco, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Did Yah honor that?
You talk about the
Yeah, the ark.
Mm-hmm.
Let's use the ark. You know, like
Yeah,
Raiders
the
of the
ark,
Lost
yeah.
Ark.
yeah.
Carried in front of us and then slay our enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Did that work?
Did not.
In which sense? In which sense are we talking about?
What happened? The Philistines captured the ark.
Yep.
Yeah.
They removed Yah out of the scenario and this was looking at the physical.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And Barak's relationship was the same thing with Deborah. I will go fight if you come with me.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't get the glory of taking out the commander-in-chief of the Canaanite army, but he still winds up in the Hall of Faith.
So that's something to...
Well, let's look at all the people. Let's look at the people in the Hall of Faith. Anybody want to go to Hebrews 11 and go through that? See if we can find out what is the one thing that's common about all the people in the Hall of Faith.
Faith.
Yeah. Yeah, but read their names off, and then let's try and pull it out of the Old Testament.
Okay, well, we have Abel.
Abel, right?
We have Enoch,
Right.
Noah.
Uh-huh.
We have Abraham. Um, Sarah.
Uh-huh.
Nicole, Yosef, Moshe, Rahab the harlot.
Uh-huh.
We have Gideon,
Right. We're going to be studying those in the future. Go ahead.
Barak,
Barack's there,
Yeah.
right?
Samson.
Samson.
What verse?
That's 32. And I'm just reading this. It said by faith, and it's mentioning the specific names. So we got Dawid, Samuel, and the prophets.
We.
David.
David. Okay.
We.
Samuel.
Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
And just the prophets in general, right?
Yes, and of the prophets.
Of the prophets. What do all those people have in common?
For belief, subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, waxed valiant in fight, turned to flight the armies of the enemies.
Yeah, they all did something. But what else do they all have in common?
Well, acting upon Yah's word before it happened. So that was something about faith.
That's good. That's good. That's all they all did, acted on something. But in terms of their nature, what do they all have in common?
Sin.
Right. ESP or what?
No. I was just sitting here thinking it, and when you said nature, then it really kicked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All of us sinners.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just because you're a sinner doesn't disqualify you from being in the Hall of Faith. Didn't disqualify any of them being in the Hall of Faith.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
But once again, you went through the acts.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things about Christendom, it gives the impression that you're saved, and once saved, always saved, and your goal is to become perfect and to stop sinning. I don't know about you, but that used to hang me up a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew there was no way I was going to stop sinning. The nature of my sins declined, and there's certain sins that definitely became off the limits. But hey, I wake up in the morning and say I'm going to get through a day without sinning. Roll out of bed, step on a tack, and start cursing. It's our human nature. And that'll be with us for how long? Will we be able to perfect ourselves one day?
So I have a question to ask you, teacher.
Okay.
So you said you roll out of bed and start cursing.
Step on a tack.
And you step on the tack and start cursing.
Right.
So technically, what is cursing?
That's a good question. But,
Oh, okay.
but let's put it this way. The words I use cannot be justified.
What's in your heart enhanced what the words meant.
Right.
I get what you mean.
So that's one of the things Christians see. They try and give the impression, and then you've been to these Christian churches for a long period of time. You start rubbing shoulders, and most of your fellow members walk around as if they're without sin. That's how we pick up that label of being hypocrites.
Yeah. Oh, you mean
Because-
a bunch of Corinthians? What?
Yeah.
Holier than thou.
Because the world sees us as going around as being, what's that phrase, holier than thou.
Yes.
And our pious. But then they also, if they hang around us, will see us committing sins.
Mm-hmm.
I remember once we was going to have sessions going around each individual. What I'm trying to do now is have each individual get a chance to make a presentation to the group. And one guy was going to talk about Samson. And he labeled it Samson, the picture of a failure.
Wow.
And never got there because we started arguing with him from the get-go. How can you be in the hall of faith and you're going to say this guy was a failure?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Said, well, look at all the things he did wrong. Look at all the things all the rest of the people.
Man, you go from shade,
did
you
wrong.
go Paul, you can go down the list.
Especially in that particular chapter.
Yeah.
Right. What's Paul's point? What's Paul trying to make? All right, assuming he wrote Hebrews, which most of us believe he did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is the point he was trying to make? That these people were sinless some kind of way?
No.
The point is, when they got an assignment from Yah, they went ahead and did it. Even though the odds from the worldly point of view
Definitely against them.
was against them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it may have took some pride to get him to do it. The next judge we're going to take a look at is Gideon.
Definitely some pride.
He tested Yah.
Yes.
And I maintain it's Yah, which I'm hoping you two will follow up on. It was Yah he was dealing with. Yeshua, Yah, Holy Spirit, all the same person.
Mm-hmm.
That he tested him what? How many times? 3 times?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, does that sound like a pious, sinless person? But what's the bottom line?
He carried
He
out.
eventually carried it out.
Right.
So I want to, and that's what Barak did. He eventually carried out, but he lost the, for want of a better word, the worldly glory of taking out the commander-in-chief of the enemy soldiers by the fact that that honor fell to a woman.
Which Deborah said.
Will do, which fulfilled her prophecy.
Yes.
Because she is a prophetess.
Yes, she is.
I got up here to write something, but I forgot what it was.
You're going to write something about the nature or what was common.
Oh, and because that leads us right into 5. The commonality was the Hall of Faith. And if we can get this into our hearts, into where we can really comprehend it, conceptualize. And what I mean by conceptualize is taking a principle from Torah and without adding to it or subtracting from it or going sideways, is put it in our own words, make it colloquial. Can somebody tell me what colloquial means?
Applicable?
Huh?
Applicable?
No, colloquial language is the language you use every day.
Common.
Yeah. Not any fancy intellectual language. And good example is the Moreh. When he gives us a sermon, he pulls from his background he pulls on his history, and he uses everyday language that you're familiar with
Yes.
to explain the Torah. And the key is doing it without deviating from the principles in the Torah. So that if you're just having a casual conversation on the street with a person that has no knowledge of the Bible, you can explain it to him in the language he's familiar with. Which is the job of a prophet, or what we used to call a preacher.
Yes.
So, one of the things that's going to help us, and it helps me, is when you deal with Hebrew poetry. Now, anybody can give a definition of how difference between Hebrew poetry and, say, English poetry.
I heard this last week.
You did?
Yeah.
I was about to say rhyming schemes, but that's like a rap.
No, it is. Rap is English poetry.
Yeah. So a rhyming, rhyming scheme.
Rhyme is one.
Yeah.
And timing. Timing or pattern.
Beats by Dawid.
That's funny.
So you listen to most songs in most, particularly back in the old days, they would be poems put to music.
Right.
Is basically what they were. Now Hebrew though is verbal or meaning. If I can think of an example, most of the songs nowadays will deal with what they call love, usually romantic love. Now, romantic love is like catching an eel in terms of its meaning. You don't know what it means. Oftentimes it's nothing but lust.
Yes.
But because the definition is not verbal, it's abstract. It can have any kind of meaning.
Right.
But you can write songs, and I used to like them too. I still do. Talking about the girl he loved, my girl, all that kind of stuff. And it sends you. But if you sit down there and really try to figure out what it means,
Empty.
it means, hey, once I've had you this night, honey,
Yeah.
bye. See you later.
Are you gonna make me feel this way again?
Uh-huh.
No.
And
My girl.
and that's why a lot of I submit that's why a lot of marriages don't make it. Is based on how you make me feel.
Yes. You're right.
Right?
Yes.
And when they start getting a little pot belly and the woman's in the breasts, I'm gonna find a younger and model. And the feeling goes away, therefore the love goes away. Hebrew makes love operational.
Yes.
It's based on your behavior.
Baha.
And two great pictures of it. Well, we're going to get into that's the next book. Is Ruth. Loyalty and gratitude.
Yes.
Is you stick with somebody through thick and thin.
Yes.
It used to be when marriage ceremonies occur,
For better or worse.
for better or worse,
Sickness, health,
sickness, health, till
to
death
death
do
do
you
us
part.
part.
I don't know about, I haven't taken a statistical survey, but from what I've seen in marriage ceremonies, particularly those displayed by Hollywood on
They don't do
TV
that
and the
anymore.
movies,
They don't say
those verses are not there anymore. Those oaths are not there anymore. Nowadays, what's the most popular thing? The parties make up their own wedding vows. totally take that Torah, move it south, and they add and subtract, go to the right and to the left, and compose their own wedding vows.
With prenups. With prenups.
Oh yeah, in case that with the anticipation
With
of
get out
when
of
they
free,
break
get
up.
free cross. Yeah. Yes.
You're not gonna get your division according to the law.
Right.
We've already agreed. And society goes along with it too.
Yes.
You couldn't enter a prenup in my age. The state of California wouldn't allow a person to waive their community property rights in order to get into a marriage. But that's a rabbit trail. I can spend a whole lecture on how changes of laws have totally destroyed marriages. But we have verbal meetings, what I used to like to call operational meetings. How's this going to work out in real life? Not in no romantic view you have
Fairy
of
tale.
life. Fairy tale, who said that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at that. He couldn't even recognize my voice.
He was that.
That's my student.
He didn't recognize the voice. I said fairy tales. You
Oh,
looked over
that's
there.
right. I didn't. You usually recognize your voice.
Who's that guy with the cold?
Okay, now what are we gonna? Let's go into. Okay, now look. I am learning, trying to ascertain Hebrew poetry. Just as we go into this, so I'm trying to teach and learn at the same time.
This is a song. This is interesting.
It's
a song.
Right. Judges chapter 5 verse 1 says they sang.
Yeah.
It's a song.
Oh yeah, they actually sung it. It's just labeled a song of Deborah and Barak. So why don't we have someone read it? Because I don't think it's very long. How many? Oh, it's 31 verses.
Oh yeah.
Everybody got a handout?
We didn't get the handout.
No.
Is there a handout for the class?
Yeah, when we ran it off, it's the same.
Oh, from last week.
Oh yeah, this is from last week.
I left that handout. Yeah, it's an email. You don't gotta print it out. You good.
That's a homemaking tip. I would get a binder and put them in the binder as we accumulate them.
Is it what you sent me in the email last week?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't get this week's email.
You did? Oh no, this is
This is
from
a
the week
continuation from
before.
last week.
Oh, okay.
From last week. That's pretty.
Okay. Okay, so we'll go page for this. 3 pages. Why don't we go do the 3 pages? Somebody take 1 through 11. That's the first page.
All right, I'll start it.
I like your voice though, by the way.
He hated your.
Stop.
He loves your voice. He hated your other one.
No, I like it better.
Then sang Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam, on that day, saying, Praise ye Yahuwah for avenging of Israel, when the people willingly offered themselves. Hear, O ye kings, give ear, O ye princesses. I, even I, will sing unto Yahuwah. I will sing praise to Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel. Yahuwah, when thou wentest out of Seir, when thou marchest out of the field of Edom, the earth trembled, and the heavens dropped, and the clouds also dropped water. The mountains melted from before Yahuwah, even that Sinai from before Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel. In the days of Shemgar, the son of Anath, in the days of Yael, the highways were unoccupied, and the travelers walked through byways. The inhabitants of the villages ceased. They ceased in Israel, until that I, Deborah, arose that I arose, a mother in Israel. They choose new mighty ones. Then was war in the gates. Was there a shield or a spear seen among 40,000 in Israel? My heart is toward the governors of Israel, that offer themselves willingly among the people. Bless ye Yahuwah. Speak, ye that ride on the white donkeys, ye that sit in judgment and walk by the way. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water. There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahuwah, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of the villages of Israel. Then shall the people of Yahuwah go down to the gates.
Got it?
Yeah, that was 11.
Okay, one of the things you pick up right off the bat, what's an army composed of? And we're dealing with an army from the two tribes here.
Yeah, it was 5:11.
A leader.
Huh?
A leader.
All right, bro.
There you go.
Leader and the volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't have an army of all leaders.
That's
That's
right.
right.
You can't have an army of all volunteers.
Yes, that's right.
Because then either one of them, you're just going to have chaos. Now, one of the things, we see this all over the world all the time whenever there's a war. Anytime you capture a bunch of enemy soldiers and you put them in a prison camp, what is the first thing you do? Absolutely essential.
When you put them in prison?
Yeah, they're POWs.
So you separate them from the leadership.
Right. You do not put the leadership and the followers in the same camp.
No,
That's
they'll escape.
They're plotting. They're plotting.
They'll escape.
Yeah, that is right.
Yeah.
Remember Hogan's Heroes? I used to watch that and I said, that is totally unreal. You're going to maintain the command structure and put it into the same prison camp. No wonder you're going to have problems with those people. Hogan was what, a colonel?
You got me, bro. I heard. I don't remember the TV series.
Oh, I'm displaying my age.
I've heard
Yeah,
of
he
it.
was
Colonel Clinton.
Colonel Clinton and Colonel Hogan.
Right. And they ran rings around the shows. A more realistic movie was Stalag 17, which was a great movie. They had prisoners camps for different ranks. They put all the sergeants in one, all the lower ranking enlistment, all the officers, and they even separated the officers. They have a camp for generals, a camp for colonels, and a camp for middle, I forgot what the term they use. But you've got to break up, because when you have this, you have what's called a command and control unit. And if you're going to fight a war, and we've seen that Yahweh wants to teach them the ways of war, you got to have this. Unlike what you see in the movies where people run off and do their own individual thing.
The one-man army ran.
Right, one-man army.
Yeah.
All that does is get a bunch of people killed for no reason. And so we start off right here when he's organizing them as an army unit. He throws out this principle. And this is in a song, this is in a poem. The other thing he does, he's going to sing to Yahweh. In fact, there's a difference. Some use the one. Yeah, they're going to bless Yahweh. Now, how do mere human beings bless Yahweh? Shouldn't it be just the other way around? He bless us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the power. We're nothing.
Right.
And
Go ahead.
No, I saw you say something.
When we function in our proper function, or where Yah created us to function, we become a blessing unto Yahweh.
That's true. That's a blessing to him. That's by acting. That's where we get to the Hall of Faith.
Yes.
But how are these people blessing Yahweh too?
When they went out to war?
Oh, it says it right there.
Through praise
Uh-huh.
and praise.
Right.
I will sing praise unto Yahuwah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he wants praise from us, right?
Yes.
And more than that, he deserves praise
Yes.
from us.
Yes.
Now, we're getting ready to say praise to him, and this is another thing you're going to see. Yahweh or Elohim. You see this twice here.
Mm-hmm.
And in other places you're going to see it twice. Now that's close to the...
You're in the volunteer.
Mm-hmm. The right... I erased it. The English method of saying the same thing twice, emphasizing.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, this is what I want us to at least pick up at this particular time. Because believe it or not, it reminds me of law school. First, you get a general statement. Can anybody state what the general statement is? You might also call it a declaratory statement.
So when you said hear, O ye kings, give ear.
Cut close, keep going. And then you have a specific.
Even I will sing unto Yahuwah, and I will sing praise to Yahuwah Elohim of Israel.
Uh-huh.
The statement is the praise of Yah.
Right. How do you praise Yah? Hey, come on in, sit down, or let you know. How do you praise Yah? We're doing general and specific.
Well, we see her in the song singing.
How about giving Damon? Come on, pray. You 2 for 2. Let's go. Huh?
You said, how do we praise him?
Yeah. Well, let's try to bring it down to earth. How do you praise somebody that you think have done a good job?
You give them something.
Accolades. You speak it.
You can speak it, but you honor them with something.
Right. You get up there. You're going to introduce someone. What do you usually do first?
Oh, you run down there.
Accomplishments.
Yes.
You run down specific accomplishments. So, go ahead and what do we have here?
He was avenging. He avenged Israel.
Mm-hmm. Say, when you marched from the field of Edom, the earth quaked and the heavens also dripped.
Yes.
The clouds dripped water.
The mountains
The
melted.
mountains quaked. You got to, one of the things you got to be careful of, and this is a side note, be careful of the chapters and verse thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes they will chop up an idea right in the middle.
Right. In the middle of the thought.
In
And
the
then
thought.
you have to continue the thought somewhere else, and it doesn't flow.
Right. But one of the things Christendom does, it gets us to thinking that a person is intellectual and really know the Bible when they can quote chapter and verse. And oftentimes, some of those verses are only half a thought.
Right.
And here's an example. March from the field of Edom, earthquake, heavens drip, clouds drip water. mountains quaked. See, that's the pattern. That's what you're starting to see in Hebrew poetry. But this is just a side note. And here, put the wrong broke the verse up. But when you read it, you gotta keep that flow.
So you're saying whoever put these chapters and verses together wasn't a Hebrew?
That is correct.
And so they didn't even understand the flow.
No, they didn't.
Almost like somebody trying to take a song and re-sing it, but it's not. They don't even know where it originally came
That's
from.
true. That's true. That's a good example.
I don't know what he's saying.
That's why I don't want to be racist.
Yeah.
I don't pick up a lot of white songs.
No.
And cowboy and western stuff totally goes over my head. And I'm not saying that we often say, well, their music is bad or is not cool. No, it's just they're designed for a different group of people who think a different way. So you see, you deal with a general statement, then you have a bunch of specific examples. And you're going to see that as we go through. Now, you might also say the New Testament shows you, say, Paul, I forgot where it is, and you guys are good at coming up with that, where they said Old Testament, using their language, is to provide us with examples. And that's one of the things you try and keep in mind as you read through the Torah. That particularly is it many of the things there is to give you examples. And we're going through Judges, and that's giving us examples. Now, when you get examples, you can also take a bunch of specific examples and you can go from the another thing is the events, and you can take these specific examples and you get a whole bunch of them, and you might say, I've noticed a pattern here. And from these specific examples, come up with a pattern and come up with a general principle.
Or a person.
Well, usually the examples are the acts of people.
So if we took like acts that were, what's the word I'm looking for? If we took like acts of Yahweh,
Right.
had a list of them, then we would know who that person is.
That's true, because number one, his acts far exceeds anything any human being has ever accomplished. But let's reverse this very example. Anybody that can bring, say, people out of free a whole nation out of one other nation that's been enslaved, who causes the earth to quake, who causes the heavens to drip, and cause clouds to drip of water, and cause mountains to quake. There's only one person that can do that.
Okay, Yahshua. But Yahshua was the embodiment that did the earthquake on the creature of Golgotha.
That's why it's so incredible people didn't recognize him as Yah, as him as Elohim, the ruler of the earth. All these people can't do that. No one person can do all this thing and not be a God. And yet they wanted to attribute that all of these miracles to Hasatan.
Yeah.
And what did he say when you do that?
Tribute.
Blasphemy.
Right, and but what category of blasphemy is that? You blaspheme
The rock. There's no forgiveness.
and there's no forgiveness. Now, but going down to one of the patterns you say is a bunch of people doing the same stupid thing over and over again and expecting different results. And one of the things, all the way through Judges, we've seen it, we've already seen it, and they fall into slavery or bondage. They cry out to Yah. He sends a Savior. He saves them, gets them out from under bondage. And how long do they usually stay out from under bondage?
Not too long.
Not too long. As we go through, we're trying to picture those. Sometimes, well, shortest period I saw seen so far is 6 years. And another one 20 years, another one 40 years. Then what do they start doing?
Forgetting Yah and adopting or assimilating
With
the other nations and other
Around
cultures around them.
and they start worshiping their gods. They start incorporating their religion into their religion.
Right.
And what happens then? They fall into bondage again.
Yes.
This goes on for a period of time. They start crying out. And they'll do the same thing over. These are a bunch of specific examples. We're going to go through 8 of them. Now, pull from that the general principles.
Follow Torah. You won't be.
Well, that's the big general principle is follow Torah,
Right.
and you won't be followed into bondage.
Right.
And what part of Torah are we supposed to follow?
All.
But be more specific. The first
Oh,
4 commandments.
Yes.
Yah.
Have no other.
Other Elohim in front of before
Right.
Yah.
Okay. You don't have to get the 10 commandments to pull this out if you're really looking at what's going on.
Right.
You know, if you see this covers a period of 300 years. What's one of the definitions of insanity?
They're doing the
The
same
same
thing
thing,
over
and
you're
over
gonna get
again.
different results.
Expecting different results. Well, that's not Torah. Torah tells you if you keep making the same mistakes over and over again, it's time to say something's wrong. I need to do something different.
Morey brought a good example Thursday night. I had never really thought about it before, but he gave the example of 2 kings of Pharaoh and David. You know, Pharaoh.
I meant to watch that. I did.
You know, just a little highlight. You know, Pharaoh, throughout all the plagues that were coming down, actually admitted, you know, that I'm a sinner and I'm wicked. But the very moment that he used Moshe to stop the hell from coming down, he reverted right back.
Right.
But Dawid, the same thing. He admitted, you know, it's me.
That's the
But
difference between the two.
But he said, creating me a clean heart, you know? So you see a difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Is the ability to say, hey, my old way, man's way, my sinful nature, don't work.
Right.
I'm absolutely helpless. So I need to take the solution he's provided. Going back to blaspheming the Holy Spirit, you can't accept it if you refuse to acknowledge who he is.
Yes.
And then the worst thing is to acknowledge who he is, but still refuse. That's what, I use that category, reprobate.
Yes.
So it's like, I mean, I get the example, you know, like they say when somebody's drowning and you go out there to try to rescue them, but they fighting you.
Right. What's the first thing they teach a lifeguard?
Let them.
No, there's
Knock 'em
2
out.
things
No,
they can
knock,
do.
I don't know the knockout part.
Yeah.
The only part.
But it works both ways.
Yeah.
You try to knock them out, but say they're bigger and stronger than you.
Yeah.
and you can't knock them out.
Yeah.
You just
You gotta let them.
Let them
you gotta
tire
let 'em
themselves
go,
out.
because otherwise
You both drown.
you both drown. That's I'm really running some rabbit trails today,
But that's
But you give the example though.
But that example is a example when so when we get awoke and we have our whole family, wife, son, daughter, the scripture talks about, hey, it's like, so you're focused on, you're not trying to be focused on yourself. It says, okay, I understand that Yah exists. You try to tell your family, they say no.
Right.
You try to get them with you, you're gonna go back into the same bondage that they're still in. If you keep trying to pull them along, they're not gonna come that way.
Yes.
That's correct.
And
That's
what you're gonna start doing is that slowly but surely, if you keep doing that, you're gonna start just assimilating more and more to their compromising, and then before you know it,
alienating them.
yeah.
Yes.
What was Yeshua's methodology to prevent that from happening? What did he tell the disciples to do when they went out on their first mission?
Shake the dust off
Get the
your
dust
feet.
off, turn their back,
Walk
away.
Don't be standing there in the middle of the village hollering and screaming at them. Because if you do that, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What happened in Revelation? Which were the two witnesses.
Oh, they're gonna kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And you look like a fool.
Uh-huh.
And you look like a fool.
Right. So no, you're right. Now that was a good rabbit trail, but what was I? That's probably what brought me going on rabbit trails at my age. How did I get back on the main trail?
Well, you were talking about assimilating and all those things. So the specific, specific.
Oh yeah, but that gives you an idea. Yah could have put this first, and which is the specific examples, and then gave the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because this is the Ten Commandments is going from the general. Have no other gods before me. Do not create images of what's in heaven.
Do not bow down.
Do not bow down. And basically, if we followed those Ten Commandments, we wouldn't have gone into slavery. We wouldn't continuously go into slavery.
That's funny you said that. 'Cause I remember you said a while back, the commandments were in existence, but it wasn't codified yet.
It wasn't codified.
Because basically all those examples of the children of Israel of bowing down to idols and stuff like that, they were carrying those acts out before the law was even codified.
Oh yeah, look at the first nation established. What was it? What was that guy?
Nimrod?
Nimrod. Look at what's happening through the pre-Moses.
Yeah.
Is you have those general rules already existed. They are what I call operational rules. It's like the law of gravity or any other physical law. You climb up on top of a building and think that you can fly and jump off because you don't like the law of gravity. You think you can through your own mind. Unfortunately, with some little kids, they try put a little cape around them and jump off the garage door.
Well, I thought if you think it,
oh,
it happen.
That's what's taught nowadays, right?
Yes.
Oh, Disney.
But some kind of way you can violate principal laws and still survive and prosper. Well,
How many minutes we have left? 15.
15? Okay. We're not going to be able to get through the whole thing, are we? Let's try this. We see this volunteer in the commandments again in verse 9. My heart goes out to the commanders of Israel, the volunteers among the people, leaders and the volunteers. And this operation, when they actually functioning, that's also a blessing to Yahweh.
I mean, that is exactly how Yah desires his offerings to be. It must be accepted as a free will.
Right, that's true. Notice that Israel didn't. It wasn't a draft.
Yeah. That's wow. Yeah. It said that offer themselves willingly.
In
So
fact,
we see that pattern.
in the 613 laws, what struck me a lot, really struck me, is it got into in terms of man in the army. Certain people were exempt.
Yes. Just
Some
had a baby. Just got married.
right, just got married, which makes sense because you want the person to make some babies
I think it's
before
1
they
year,
die,
right?
risk their lives.
What is it?
But also cowards.
Yeah.
Now you don't see that in modern armies.
No, they take anybody.
Make anybody. But if you were a coward, they didn't want you in the army in this nation state of Israel.
And that's an interesting thing because in Revelation, cowards will not enter into the kingdom of heaven.
That's true.
So that's an interesting concept to
Uh-huh.
understand. If Yah give you a command to do something, and you cower towards what's going on, Yah's
He's
like,
gonna,
I'm fit.
okay, fine, go
Yeah.
on about your way.
Because what makes them dangerous is they're the ones that can turn away the rest.
Not only that, but that's the last person you want in a foxhole with you.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Because you're gonna say, "Oh man, you got my back." Yeah. In any military unit, people talk about, well, you're gonna fight for your country. Everybody don't. You do not fight for your country.
You
in the
fight to
military.
live.
Huh?
You fight to survive.
But you also fight to do what?
For the next man.
For the next man. You fight for your buddy
Yeah.
because you depend on your buddy.
Yep.
So y'all
You know,
that
you got
concept in
his back,
sports.
he's got your back.
Right.
Don't happen with a coward.
Huh?
It will
Doesn't
not.
happen with a coward.
It will not.
No.
No, right.
I learned that from sports.
Right.
I mean, just playing it. You know, you're on the football field. Eventually, somebody's going to be exposed.
Right. And when do you most get injured in football? When the person who's supposed to help protect you do not.
Bench them.
I'm more than benching when you hurt in football. A locker room.
Well, that's what a good coach looks for.
Yeah.
That's why they're quick to bench slackers or even kick them off the team.
That's why they have practice.
Huh? But that's life, though.
Yes,
You
yes.
remember, one of the things Yahweh is doing is He's putting these people in the fighting shape. And you notice He goes through each different tribe.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we'll see that happen when we finally get to David, under David, they're whooping everybody around them.
That's the key word, they.
Right.
Right, not like one person.
Right, it's not one, it's both the king.
Or it's just using the mic.
Huh?
Oh, okay. So our time is
Even
almost
that's in that Bible study.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All righty.
But it is about that time they did start before us.
Oh,
Okay. Well, we'll go ahead because we're not going to be finishing up on this. Anybody get a chance to read ahead and want to pick out specific verses for us to peruse?
Not everybody wants.
Well, verse 19.
Verse
19.
9. Okay.
I was just.
The kings came and fought, and then fought the kings of Canaan and Tanakh by the waters in the ghetto.
And it took no gain of money.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't know if anybody.
Yeah, I saw that too. let's see if we can do this real quick, because there's another thing. This is what happened. This is the category of servitude. You can have servitude two different ways, or two great categories. There's servitude of a people, and there's servitude of individuals. Now we know the history of individual slavery on up until 1864. Then we had Civil War, Emancipation Proclamation, and individually that was illegal. So that went away. But that don't mean the servitude of a people goes away. In other words, a whole group of people, even though they have to lead their own individual lives, as a group, they're under servitude to another group. And that's the pattern we see in Judges. Gideon wasn't an individual slave to the Midianites, but the people were slaves as a group. They were in servitude to the Midianites. Here, what was it? This particular Canaanites had the Israelites in servitude because they were plundering them. When this occurred, they no longer could. Okay, wrap it up. So they could no longer get the spoils, the silver. They could no longer obtain. That ended the servitude once Barak wiped them out.
Okay.
Okay, all righty.
Are we stopped?
Yeah, are we going to do a presentation at the end of this?
Not today, but I wanted to make a quick announcement.
Okay.
Shalom, everybody.
I know